It is Lee Milteer, the Blonde Warrior, here at Grassroots Warrior Network on Rumble. Please, at the bottom, notice that you can like and share this information. That would help us so much. And also see the links below on how you can help us spread the truth by donating to our channel, since we're 100% all donation of our time and skills to uplift humanity. Now, I have a gift for you that will help you. It's worth about $100. It's absolutely free to you. And it is called the 5typesofenergy.com. And you spell it F-I-V-E, typesofenergy.com. And what this is 5 very short videos. There's one on mental energy, physical energy, emotional energy, spiritual energy, and financial energy. These are 5 minutes long. Sign up for this and you will get this gift, and I promise you it will give you a whole new view of your life currency using your energy. Also, don't forget, you can find out more about me and all the things that I do at milteer.com, M-I-L-T-E-E-R. We have a fabulous show with us today. We have Success Magicka podcaster, Nathan Fraser. And I'm going to tell you, after I introduce him and get him on with us, all about how I learned about him and got on his show and some of his wonderful observations of life that'll be very helpful to you. And while we're waiting for him to get on, my latest book is called Activate Your Inner Power. This is how you can get guidance messages for yourself. And I have a book called The Magic of Prayers. And there are 70 powerful prayers to help you manifest what you need in life. And for all of you metaphysically inclined, my best-selling book, Reclaim the Magic, how you can manifest what you need, and it really is a bestseller. It's sold and helped a lot of people. One of my first books is called Success is an Inside Job, and it's 12th printing, so it's doing pretty good. And Spiritual Power Tools for Successful Selling. This is really bringing integrity into the world. So these books and many, many more other things are available to you. And so you should check out my website, milteer.com. So everybody, I am so happy that I get to invite here for you to see Nathan Fraser. And by the way, just so you know, he is a marketer, he's a copywriter, he is an explorer of the esoteric, which I love. And you can find his work at advertisingcheatcodes.com, where you can also get a copy of his latest book, Sales Funnel Cheat Codes. Okay, you can also find him on YouTube, where he produces the podcast Success Magicka. Now, this is how I met you. So if I may tell first, hello and welcome, and then we're going to talk.
Yeah. Hello, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on the show.
I'm excited for you. And I want to give everybody a little background. I wrote this book, The Magic of Prayers, a couple of years ago. And I get this email from someone I've never heard of before, which is our guest today. And he said, I'm very fascinated with your prayer book because you have positioned your prayer book like true magicians, or something to that effect. So would you explain that a little better to our audience, what you meant by that?
Yeah, so I read the book and I kept as I was going through it, I kept saying, these don't sound like prayers. These sound more like magic spells. The way that she constructs the prayers fit the rules that spellcrafting does, or fit the rules that when magicians are working magic, these prayers fit the rules that they live and die by.
I am super impressed of your bravery of just laying it on the line, telling the truth about the unseen world, and how you partake and use. You're combining sort of two magics together, the magic of the world that we're living in, and then the manifestation, creation, alchemy energy. So let's talk about how you, with your deep esoteric knowledge, can help people, because you're a copywriter and you have all these clients that you help advertise. And and most entrepreneurs are completely clueless these days about advertising effectively.
Unfortunately.
Well, fortunate for you.
Well, okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, so just a real quick kind of backstory. I come from a very lower class income background, and I was never really somebody who followed the rules very well. I was always a very independent thinker, and so that kind of canceled my ability to thrive in the workplace of corporate America, I guess. And so I quickly started my own business and started learning entrepreneurial stuff. And very early on, realized that a lot of the things that I was blaming on society, a lot of the things that I was saying, oh, these hurdles, because I was born poor, because I was born in this neighborhood to this family, I don't have the same advantages, blah, 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 all of that stuff that is very popular nowadays. I was totally indoctrinated into that way of thinking until I started coming across books like As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, which is all about how your mindset dictates your life, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and even less esoteric books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And I'm reading these books and I'm like, wow, my thinking, the way that I look at myself, the way that I look at the world is creating major hurdles for me. I need to get this stuff in check. And I started working on the way I thought about things, the things that I believed about myself, about the world. And all of a sudden, major shifts in my reality started happening. The way that people interacted with me, the opportunities that I was presented, the accomplishments that I was like, wow, this just fell into my lap. How did this happen? And so that was probably about a 10-year process before I even came across the idea that magic might be real, or that our brains, our consciousness might be connected to the universe. And then when that finally happened, the middle of Corona, all of a sudden, all these weird synchronicities started happening to the point where I was like seriously questioning my own sanity, as I don't want to get too deep into it, but just certain things were just way beyond the realm of coincidence. And I have a mentor who started doing exercises with me saying, hey, let's get clear on what you want in your business. And we'd say, okay, I want this type of client that pays this much, that is in this area. And then 15 minutes later, I'd get a call being like, hey, I want you to talk to this guy. And it'd be the exact type of client that I had just laid out. And this happened multiple times. And so through all of that process, it was about a 10-year awakening process for me. And now I'm at the point where I'm not quite sure what's going on in reality, but I am quite sure that there's another layer of it besides just the physical world that we take as granted as the extent of what reality is.
We have so much in common. I I grew up in poor. Um, I didn't follow the rules well. I was pretty much a nightmare in high school for the teachers, who finally had a big meeting just about me and decided to put me in the library as a library assistant, which really not only was the greatest thing that could have ever happened to me personally, but also relieved them of, some of my, how do you monetize this? How do you leverage that? I'm going to be an entrepreneur, kind of questions. And they weren't prepared for this at all. And one of the greatest blessings for me was this, like 3 days as an assistant in a library in high school. This entrepreneur comes in with this big box of books, and he pops them on the desk, and it's my job to take care of them and, register them in and all that donation. And on the top three books were Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz,
Mhm.
The Magic of Believing by Claude Bristol, and Think and Grow Rich. Now, I don't remember what other the books were there, but those three like jumped up and danced in front of my eyes. And so I immediately took those myself and read all three at 16. And it was as if the greatest sigh of relief of, oh, little me in the middle of nowhere who knows nothing, with no money, no connections, no nothing. I might have a chance of making it because this is a formula. And so, yes, I really appreciate the transparency of, we're still learning, we're still curious. We don't think we know everything, because that's really impossible. And anybody who has the answers for everything is completely full of shit, because that's just not true. And I
Mhm.
have a whole new view of gurus than I used to. How about you?
Oh, yeah. I think that just comes with the territory. Once you are competent in something, and then you have that lens to look at all of the people who you worshiped when you first came into that particular scene, yeah, things start to reveal themselves.
One of the um I was very fortunate around 22. Someone actually tapped me on the shoulder to be in a mystery school. And I didn't know what mystery school was. I had no money. Like nothing. And they're like, nope, there's no money for you because you have no money, but you have the calling. And so we are going to help you. And their big thing was that, you're always, you've got to be a learner, you've got to be curious, but you have to judge everything from your intuition, not from your thinking mind so much. So tell us some of the tricks of the trade that allow you to have such an advantage, Nathan, over reality versus the person who has just been indoctrinated into the current matrix of insanity.
um, I think first and foremost, mindset is probably the most important thing. Breaking free of victim mindset and breaking free of letting the media, letting the politicians, letting the influences around me who considered themselves to be authority, letting them dictate what reality was going to be for me. Letting go of that was probably the biggest thing. Very early on, I think I was like 15 or 16 years old, and there was a big news story in the little town that we were living in, and it was something that happened in the neighborhood I lived in, and so we had firsthand knowledge of it. And then the newspaper came out and they wrote a big story about it, and of course I was excited to read the story. And the story got so many things wrong and sold it with authority. And when I was talking to kids in school about it, they were like, no, 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 this happened, I read it in the news. I was like, no, I was there, and that's not what happened. And that was my first, like, wait a second. The news is more about creating reality than they are about reporting on reality. And so very early, and then I guess maybe the fortunate, maybe the unfortunate circumstances of having that same thing happen on bigger levels where big stories, national changing events would happen. And common sense would say, wait a second, that doesn't add up. But every single news channel would say, nope, this is what it is. You have to believe it. And if you don't, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist. And so very early on in life, I realized, oh, reality is very malleable. And the people that run the media have figured out that they can create reality for people, and the people will go and act upon the instructions that they get from the media. And then that actually manifests and turns into reality. So what the media tells people to believe turns into what the people act upon, and then turns into reality. And so I realized this stuff pretty early on, and I saw it as very nefarious. I took the different route. I started looking into the Freemasons and the Jesuits and Skull and Bones, and I was like, oh my gosh, all of these megalomaniacs are running the world, and they're all part of these secret societies, and they're manipulating people. And oh my gosh, this is so horrible. I'm a libertarian. I don't like this. And I'm going to rail against these secret societies. And it's weird that they all kind of do these weird rituals, like meet at Bohemian Grove and do spirit cooking and incorporate ancient Egyptian symbols into their corporate logos. But that just must be some crazy like little fetish that they're all into. I did not believe in the magic side of things at this point. I thought it was just like a weird thing that they're into. As I've grown and evolved, I have learned to view the esoteric side of things as more of a tool, and it can be used for good, it can be used for bad. And so I don't really have that black and white view about it anymore. But yeah, mindset and understanding, hey, the things I think about, the things I give attention to, I can spend all of my energy fighting their plans, or I can spend my energy building my plans. I can spend my energy fighting against the reality they're trying to create, or I can spend my energy creating the reality that I want to create. And that mindset shift, I think, was probably the most powerful thing. And then, of course, after 10 years of building myself as an entrepreneur, a marketer, and somebody who was trying to figure out what was going on in the world, and then being like, oh, wait, there's something else going on. Uh, that was kind of the combination that tipped me over and put me into the world that I'm in now.
So, how do you, we're on the same page. So how do you deal with people who are so programmed that they're so bewildered by your perspective of life? I will share honestly, when the first what I call plandemic happened, because it was planned and it was fake, but it's planned. And I'm not saying people didn't get sick, but they brought a lot of that on themselves because they were afraid of being sick. And you always attract, what you focus on, you attract. And people who are
Mm-hmm.
fearful tend to attract sort of unpleasant things for themselves because they think that all power is external, and that what you're saying is our power is really internal. And I love your conclusion of, I can spend all my energy being mad at everybody in the beginning. Because, by the way, during the first part of the pandemic, I was mad for 6 months. I mean, completely mad. I was mad about, I'm not following these rules. I'm not taking whatever the heck you're calling. If you want me to go right, I'm not going to go right. I'm going to go a different direction. I'm not, if you have a mask for me and you make me wear it, I will put it on my elbow. Here, I got it on. Like, I got thrown out of places and I was very proud of that. Pure rebel. Now I have mellowed that that's a lot of energy to expend on stuff I have no control over. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm more like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever the hell y'all want to do, knock yourself out. I'm going to do my thing because I have the power to call forth those forces in life to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
Let's help people who are listening today. So now that we have our mindset, how do you know who to trust and who not to trust? What is your signals internally of this is a yes or this is a no information?
I'll have to admit that that's an ever evolving process for me. Sometimes my intuition leads me astray. Uh, so I'm not always I tend to find the best in people. I tend to look for the best in people. And sometimes I'm disappointed, but uh, it's hard for me to live always suspicious and always looking for red flags. And so sometimes I miss red flags in people, and it is what it is. I think that's just part of at least my experience. I'm supposed to experience those things: heartbreak, letdown, also a lot of joy, because living that way allows me to open myself up to opportunities, open myself up to people that I might not have otherwise. So, I don't know if I have a specific answer for that. I will say though, I'm right on board with you during the whole, as you called it, plandemic. Uh, I lost a lot of friends. I realized that people that I trusted, I didn't trust anymore after that. And I have relationships that soured through that because they totally bought into the programming. And even now, that all of the stuff that people like me and you were saying from the get, the masks don't work, the vaccine is not going to be what they're promising it is, it probably came from a laboratory, all of these things that we were saying from the beginning that everybody called us the worst names ever for, they're just accepted now. Yeah, the masks didn't work. Yeah, the vaccine, you have to get 8 boosters and you can still spread it to somebody 36 seconds later. Yeah, it probably came from a laboratory in Wuhan. I have not taken most of those people back into my lives, because I've realized that when the media says, hey, everybody, run for the cliff, a lot of those people are going to yell at me for not running towards the cliff with them. And so that was a big sifting moment for me. I had to learn how to control my emotions about it, but I also learned that a lot of the people that I held close were people who would present a potential danger to me if something like this, or whatever the next media induced mass paranoia event ends up being. I'm very much more selective about who I have in my circle now, at least when it comes to that.
Oh, so well said. Absolutely. I think my biggest disappointment was I fancied myself hanging around with a bunch of intuitive people. Okay. And then this
Mhm.
happened, and then they all, you know, followed the agenda. And I'm like, what happened to your intuition? I mean, didn't anything not feel off to you? So for me, I have this, and I teach an intuitional thing, and I have this head, heart, gut check. So
Mhm.
we have a left brain, we have a logical side to ourselves. You have to run it through the filter of, how rational is this, information, and then the heart of, does this feel true? Does this feel right to you? And then the gut is, to me, for me, the gut is either a uh-huh or a uh-uh. It's two very distinct feelings. And I jokingly say to women, I said, look, we go shopping. We're retail therapy kind of gals. And, you know, I can just whiz through a store and, pick up something and look at it. And there's an inner, I like that. Let's get that. Or there's a, nah, not for me. Now I could talk myself into
Mhm.
things, but the first natural instinct is no. And this is where humans have gotten into trouble of, we get the instinct, we get the message from the higher self, expanded self, whoever you want to give it credit to, God, whoever, infinite intelligence, cosmic way, whatever. I believe, we call the same thing, a million names. It's just that now the brain has become the dominant role in a human being's life. And the brain has been programmed since the second of your birth by
Mhm.
this, I'm preaching to the choir, so I'm really speaking to the listeners here. We're programmed by society and religion and government and medical and military and educational, and my Lord, what a mess this all is. Um,
Mhm.
so I was extremely disappointed that my circle of wise women weren't so wise, weren't so wise at
Mhm.
all. So now I'm more on more aware when I associate with people is, are we actually on the same plane? Because if we're not, that's fine. I mean, this is a free will planet. They get to do
Mhm.
whatever they want to do, and they've lived their life. I have a little dog here. Come here. Come here. Sorry, we have an unexpected guest. Her name is Angel.
Oh, she's so cute.
She is cute, but she doesn't live up to that name today. Because
Ah.
you can hear something outside. Now we can't hear it, but you can hear it. So be a good girl. So anyway, I'm now allowing people to go on their own path. I'm not trying to convince them anymore. I'm not sending any more stuff which they wouldn't read. I'm just allowing them this is their life, their soul. And for the people who are really super, let's say, stuck, programmed, I've rationalized, and I'll admit this, I rationalize they're just very young souls who haven't checked that box off that this is the ascension time to ascend your mind, sort of as fun. So that's how I sort of, I'm still loving and kind to them. Them to me, not so much. Because there was a lot of rejection. Because apparently my being a rebel and speaking my mind really offended people. Because I made them uncomfortable that I didn't go along with the narrative. So, but
I think there's a lot going on there. One of the things that I had to just accept about people is, as much as I love being a rebel, as much as I love individual freedom and individual responsibility and leadership and taking accountability for myself and taking accountability for those who follow me, most people are not willing to do that. You work at a 800 plus employee corporation and there's a job listing for management. Only 10 or 15 of those 800 people will even step up and apply. And only 2 or 3 of those 15 people are actually qualified and willing to take on that responsibility. And I think that that's something that just goes back to the very dawn of time when people were in tribes. If we're out hunting or we're out gathering and some storm clouds come in and everybody starts arguing about what the storm clouds mean. Oh, it's a sign from that we need to go back. Oh, it's a sign from God that we need to gather the berries faster. Oh, it means a tornado's coming. Oh no, those storm clouds, those ones are just a quick rain shower and they leave. We're good. No, we need to go back. If everybody starts fighting, the tribe dies. And so the tribe needs 1 or 2 people to step up and assume responsibility. And then in order to survive, the rest of the people kind of need to be obedient order followers. And that's just the dynamic of what makes the tribe successful. And I think that it's neither a good nor a bad thing until the leadership becomes corrupt and uses that fact to manipulate and empower and enrich themselves at the expense of the rest of the tribe. And then also responsibility falls on the tribe. Once the tribe says, you know what, we don't even care how bad of a job you do. We'll follow the most absurd orders because we just don't want to take responsibility. And historically, we've seen this play out to great atrocities over and over and over again. And it's the leadership and the followers doing this dance that can be healthy, but can also have disastrous outcomes. And then when it comes to this latest example, fear. As a marketer, I know fear shuts down the rational mind and makes people just beg for an answer. When I'm writing a sales page, a lot of times it's fear, 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 fear. Hey, look at me. I'm an authority. You can trust me. Oh, look at this. It solves all of your problems. I'm going to make Hell Island as real and visceral as possible. You're going to be feeling the flames on your skin. And then I'm going to show you the life raft that gets you over to Heaven Island. And you're going to jump on that life raft as soon as I say, hey, there's space available. And that's exactly what happened. We had fear, 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 body bags, constant numbers ticking on the bottom of the news about how many people have died, constant propaganda about how bad things are going to get and how horrible the people who are thinking for themselves are. And by the way, here's a life raft. We can get you back to normal. Just jump on the life raft. Supplies are limited, so hurry up and get yours now. But that's exactly what happened. It was, if you understood marketing, and I think that you probably had that lens to look at this stuff through, that maybe some of the other people in your circle didn't have that same lens. So they didn't understand the marketing and manipulation tactics that were going on for the extent of that time that we thankfully made it through.
So my joke when somebody tells me about something advertised, I always go, uh-huh. And then I think to myself, I know way too much. Yeah, I know way too much. So I look at everything with uh okay, not only is its face value, but the depth of it, like what does this really mean? What is it really doing? And you are right. And again, I was very mad the first 6 months, maybe even to a full year. Um, it completely ruined my life, by the way, in the fact of being happy. Because
Hmm.
when I'm mad, guess what I'm doing? I'm focusing all the power is external, and it's not.
Yep.
And uh, our power is all internal. Hence my book, Success is an Inside Job. So let's delve a little bit back into your your copywriting and marketing and the way that you're advertising yourself on Facebook. You're maybe my 5,000 people, which what do I see? 250 of those 5,000, maybe. I'm not sure. It seems like I'm seeing 25 people, but there's not anybody else I'm seeing that is having the courage to share the way that you are about how you're creating. I mean, you were really
Mm.
laying it out there like, I'm not afraid, and this is who I am, and this is what I'm doing, and this is what I can help you create. And you're
Mm.
absolutely right. 95% of the world, I'm being very generous, just wants to plug into a leader and have them make all the decisions. They don't want to make a decision at all.
Hmm.
And I was born with a complete opposite reality. Like, if I join a club, guess who's going to be elected president? Me. And I don't even want to be elected president. I don't want to be in charge of this club. I always join every club with, I'm just going to be in the background. That lasts like a day. And then, and I'm sure you would have that too.
Yeah, that's something probably a lot of people listening to this, me and you all have in common is ever since I first started working for other people in different, bar and grill type jobs or fast food or grocery stores or whatever, my earlier jobs, very quickly I was always pushed into leadership and management positions, even against my own will.
Right.
I don't want to be forcing my decisions on people, but hey, Nathan, you are really smart. You figure this out. Hey, like even managers above me coming to me and being like, "Hey, help us out with this. What should we do?" And so eventually I just learned to kind of roll with it, and I guess that's just the way that the dynamic, the energy that I have. I don't know. I don't want to be too braggadocious. To back to your other point though about why I'm not too afraid to share my thoughts on reality crafting, hacking the matrix, I guess. Some people call it magic, some people call it manifestation, some people call it mindfulness. I don't know exactly what I call it. Uh when certain things started happening in my life, the working with one of my coaches, the exercise of laying out, hey, what do you want? What type of client do you want? Getting real clear on it and then forgetting about it. And 15 minutes later, that exact person calls and says, hey, we want to hire you. And that happened, like I said, multiple times. Thinking about somebody and somebody I haven't seen in years. And then later on, while I'm grocery shopping, they walk into the aisle and they're like, hey, what's up? Long time no see. Thinking about somebody, and then the next day they call me and I haven't from them in years. Uh, More esoteric stuff, wanting things for clients, being like, hey, I want this relationship to work. This is what I need to have it happen. And then the next day it happens. And I didn't even do anything to make it happen. It just happens. Uh, when all of those things, when I started really paying attention to them, when they got to the point where I couldn't ignore them anymore, I went back to my particular coach that does the exercise with me where we get clear on what I want and it falls into my lap. And I asked him, he on a call, he had went through 3 principles that he says were very important to him about keeping your plans a secret. He's like, everybody gets on Facebook, everybody wants to brag about their plans and let the cat out of the bag before it's time. And here's why you should. And he goes through 3 principles about why. And then later on that day, first time ever, YouTube recommends me a video, says three reasons why you should keep your magic a secret. And the video was only uploaded 18 minutes ago. I'm like, YouTube's never recommended me magic videos. And this guy's saying three reasons to keep it a secret. I click on the video and it's the exact same 3 reasons that my business coach told me to keep my business plans a secret. And I'm like, what the F is this? I send him the video and I'm like, look, dude, do you believe in magic? And he won't tell me, he won't answer until about 6 months later. I ask him again. And this is like, as things are just piling up. And he's like, yeah, dude, I've been practicing magic since I was like 16 years old. He's one of the most successful people I know. And so then I go and I ask one of my other clients who's made some mentions about stuff. And he's Indian. He's from India. And it's like, you guys call it magic. We just call it reality. It's just part of what I grew up believing. And then I asked another one of my clients who's very successful, who lives in San Diego or San Francisco, I'm sorry. And he tells me, yeah, I used to mess around with all that stuff. I don't put much effort into it now, but I totally believe in it. And then I'm sitting on, and this might get me in trouble, but I'm just going to say it anyways. I'm sitting on a consultation call with Agora Financial, and they take on this client. And this is a mindset guy that if I said his name, everybody knows. He's the predominant mindset guy. Everybody knows who this guy is, even people who have never, I can't say his name, but everybody knows who I'm talking about. We're on a call and we're talking about objections that we need to get over and how his process works. And he just blatantly lays it out. Yeah, I'm a magician. This is all magic. And we don't call it that. We're not allowed to say that out loud. But yeah, these are all magic principles disguised as self-improvement tactics. And like I said, one of the most successful guys in the world. If I said his name out loud, everybody listening right now would immediately know who he is. And I was like, okay, all of these super successful, really good-hearted people that are trying to make a great difference in the world, the majority of these super successful people that I'm working with secretly or maybe subtly hint at the fact that they believe in magic. And all of the nefarious puppet masters behind the scenes, they seem to also believe in magic. And I'm having all these crazy things happen in my life that I cannot explain other than the fact that somehow what I'm thinking is turning into reality, and it's not just through hard work. So do I believe in magic? And at that point, when I finally said, yes, I do, I'm kind of the guy that wears my heart on my sleeve. I don't try to hide how I feel about things. And so once I came to the conclusion, I believe that there's something else going on, spiritual, metaphysical. Maybe we live in a simulation. I'm not sure what it is, but it's definitely, there's more going on than the physical material world. And learning these things has made a huge improvement in my life. And I'm not afraid to share it with other people. I'm not trying to convert people. I'm not trying to convince people. I'm just speaking my mind and hopefully attracting people who it resonates with.
And it appears that you are attracting people who, as my good friend Dan Kennedy says, your message whistles to them. So
It does.
he talks about that a lot. He says, we will have our offers and, presentations, and that there's going to be a certain vibrational aligned people. He doesn't use this terminology, but he goes, what you've got will whistle to another person. So their senses and antennas sort of pop up and they're interested. I am hoping that all of this disruption that we've had has forced people to abandon some of the old programming and to realize, as just what you said, that these successful people were afraid to admit this because it really gives them the advantage. But there is something behind all of this success that is obtainable if you just open your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I, like you, I've been very blessed in my life that I call these earth angels. So in my life, when I've been very insecure and starting a new thing and not knowing what the hell I'm doing, and, just sort of feeling my way through reality, there have always been these people who've sort of showed up in my life that have inspired me, believed in me, patted me on the back and saying, "You go, girl," kind of thing, that without them, I'm not sure, you know, what that would have led to. But they just kind of showed up at the right time, gave me the right messages, and then, sort of took off. And so again, I call those little earth angels because, and they give you hints like long before I knew that I could write or speak or any of these things. People were saying, "Lee, you should be a professional speaker." And I'm thinking, what? What are you, insane? Are you delusionary? You should be a writer. Oh my gosh, I couldn't even get, what was those term paper things in high school, like the night before. And, you know, it just,
Hmm.
my whole view of myself was, you guys are very funny. But after I heard it enough, that seed germinated inside of me of what if? What if
Hmm.
this is my destiny? What if this is what I am born to do? And when I shift that from, are you out of your mind, to taking that new image and playing with it of what if, and then turning it over to my higher self, like, well, if it's meant to be, hey, I need some help, you better help me with this, and off we go. And
Hmm.
I'm embarking right now on sort of a new adventure, which I'm not going to share because it's not completely formalized yet. I did get the URL I wanted though, so that was a good sign.
Nice.
I actually, this one new thing I wanted to do, I had to check the URL 5 times to make sure I spelled it right, to make sure I got
Ah.
the right thing. But I'm actually very excited about the future because there's more of you and I having the courage to come forth and listen and be curious and realize people like us have something going that defies gravity, so to speak,
Yep.
and I like that. And so, as you know, I've been a productivity and mindset coach for many years. I now want to move past that. That's like baby steps now. I want to move into a much higher level of manifestation and creation and empowerment of what's possible. And
Hmm.
I'm not a religious person, but I'm a very spiritual person. Um, People use this phrase that Jesus said, and I don't know the exact quote, but it's something like, "All I can do, you can do too." The simple
Hmm.
version of that. And I really hold on to that, like, well, there's something to that. There's some depth to that. And that I should pay attention to that and not just let that kind of information float by me. Because it's not like people tap you on the shoulder and say, "Okay, here's the keys to the kingdom." You actually have to go seek out the keys to the kingdom. Yes?
Hmm. Yeah, and I would tend to agree with you. One thing that I've noticed for 15 years of being a business owner, 12 years of being a marketer, but even more, I guess, 20, 25 years of being somebody who is skeptical of the official story on most things. Uh, 20 years ago, when I would ask these types of questions, what's going on behind the scenes? Is the news really telling the truth about this major event? What's up with these people meeting and doing these weird things? And then what's up with these coincidences? And what's up with how our mindset affects? 25 years ago, I was laughed at. I was mocked. I was told, "You're crazy. Nathan, you're so silly. You always keep us on our toes with your crazy ideas." And I would say over the last 5 to 10 years, there's been a major tide shift. And now things like things like consciousness and where does consciousness come from, and how does it interact with reality, and what's going on with the puppet masters, and the whole spectrum of these conversations that would get you mocked 20 years ago are becoming mainstream. And my daughter, who's 14 years old, can hold conversations with me about this stuff because it's things that her and her friends and the people on social media that she follows are talking about. And for me, going from being existing in this mindset that was 0.3% of the population were willing to talk about, to where now it feels like 15, maybe 20% of the population is starting to say, hey, maybe there's something to all of these crazy conspiracy theories. Maybe there's something to this mindset stuff. I'm very hopeful. I understand that the people that are in the position to lose a lot of power if people start waking up to this might not be very happy about it, might not just go quietly into the night. But I have noticed that that particular set of people, the tighter they squeeze their fist, the more people slip through their fingers. And I think we're watching a massive tide shift where the amount of people slipping through their fingers is growing exponentially every day. And so I'm very optimistic about where we're going in the future.
Well, we are going to we're going to wrap it up at that very positive thought, because I'm very optimistic. I agree. I hadn't really thought of the percentages, but you're right. I am seeing the cracks. So all of usums, people who are watching this and everything, keep in mind that we're the leader of our own life, and that, always claim the king and the queen within yourself. You are the leader of your own life. You do have the ability to manifest great things when you focus on them, assume they're already yours, and live as if, and be completely unattached. All those really easy things to put together at the same time.
Yeah.
Be unattached, but be very focused. And so, well, listen, tell everybody how they can find you and get in touch with you. And if I may, I'd love to, if we could come back and, go play again, I would love that.
Absolutely. I want to have you back on my show again once I rolling again. That is Success Magicka on YouTube. You can find it there. And then if you're a business owner who wants help with your marketing and advertisingcheatcodes.com is the place to find me there. And also Advertising Alchemist is another URL where you can find me. It's a little bit easier to remember for the esoteric woo people out there.
So I have to tell you that when you first asked me and I saw that you had alchemist in one of your titles, because I'm really studying a lot of alchemy. I mean, seriously studying. I don't just read, I study because I love it. It makes me feel good. I get up at 4 in the morning and I study until about 9 or 10 a.m. every day. Every day.
Wow.
And then I'm just completely devoted to vibrating, becoming what I want, and then watching the miracles around me fulfill all of that. And when things go to hell, I also, it's like, well, I was part of that. I was, I partaked in the energy. So, all right, well, listen, everybody, I hope you will go check out Nathan, and remember he's on Facebook, and I'm a fan. So thank you so much. We're going to call it a wrap. And in any parting words, last parting words.
I would say if you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you subscribe to Lee's Rumble channel and don't miss future episodes.
Okay, that's very kind of you. I should say that. That's a very interesting thing. Remember, down below, everybody, we we have a free gift for you. It's called 5 Types of Energy, FIVE, typesofenergy.com. You can find me at milteer.com. And I got some new fun things coming out, and I will see you next week on Blonde Warrior. Thank you so much.